$40,000 worth of flights and hotels. That's the current value of my credit card points and miles. And today, I'm breaking it all down. Now, most people think that building the perfect wallet means grabbing the same few cards you see recommended all over YouTube and Reddit. But here's the truth. That cookie cutter strategy can often leave a ton of value on the table. Now, I've built a setup that works for me. Optimized for family travel with my wife and 2 kids, work trips, lounge access, and perks that actually pay off. And it's not theory. I've used these cards to fly my family all around the world in premium economy and business class without paying anywhere near full price. So in this video, I'll show you exactly which cards are in my wallet right now, why I'm holding them, how I'm stacking points, and the travel currencies I'm building. Plus, I'll share a couple of brand new additions, how I'm adjusting my strategy as banks keep refreshing their cards, raising annual fees, and rolling out bigger bonuses. So let's get to it. Now, I'll start by saying I'm probably in the mid-tier in terms of how psycho I am about this credit card game. Now, you'll see kids on YouTube almost half my age with more cards than me, and I think it's amazing to learn so much about credit cards and personal finance at an early age, but I think that'll lead to burnout for many of them as they don't really have the experience as to why they're actually getting those cards. Whereas with me, I've taken a bit of a slower path, but I also have a full-time job that requires a good bit of travel. Plus, I have kids and all the obligations that come with it. End of the day, my hope is this provides some education and a few tips and tricks that you can actually use, whether you have a few cards or a few dozen. So for the 20 plus cards in my possession today, which doesn't include the cards that I've referred to my wife, who absolutely hates when I call her my player 2, the total amount I spend on credit card annual fees is just over $4,200. Hold up. I think that just ticked up another 100. So yeah, now I'm just over $4,300 in annual fees. But before you fall out of your chair, I also currently have over 2.3 million credit card points and miles, which with my personal calculations and how I value each of these currencies based on redemptions that I've actually made, that's over $40,000 in travel value. And this is without any outlandish calculations. I don't perceive any of these currencies as holding a value north of 2 cents per point. Now for context, I value Hyatt points at around 1.5 cents per point. And this is based on the ways that I redeem and how I've actually redeemed points for Hyatt stays. I don't let the best deal or some inflated valuation at a certain property dictate when we travel, which again, this may be different than your point of view, but that's what makes this so incredible. Everyone has their own journey, but we can all learn so much from each other, and I appreciate all of the comments, good and bad. But most importantly, the experiences, the redemptions you've made, and the places you've stayed, which this does give me more ideas. In fact, huge shout out to Jeff, one of my subscribers that hits me up on Instagram. And Jeff let me know about an amazing experience he recently had at a hotel in the Dominican Republic. Jeff, because of you, we've decided to stay at the Dreams Royal Beach, so thank you again. But with all those points, you probably think I'm a point hoarder. In fact, we've already redeemed well over 1 million points in 2025, and there will definitely be a few more trips as we head into fall and winter, and we're looking at a big trip with the kids over to Europe next summer as well. And I damn sure won't be flying in economy. But with new card sign-up bonuses, referring cards to my wife, along with the referrals that I get from all of you, which by the way, thank you so much. This does truly help support this channel. The reason I do this is because I have a lot bottled up in here, and I want to make sure to share that with a community that has similar interests. So again, thank you so much for all the comments and the support. Okay, so with the cards that I discussed, there are certain payments like my cell phone and my wife's cell where I use my Amex Business Platinum on mine so that I get the $10 monthly statement credit plus the best cell phone protection in the business. And I use my Ink Preferred for my wife's cell so that she also gets good insurance plus the 3 points per dollar for that monthly spend. Those cards aren't included in my wallet, but there are a few cards that are definitely working in the background, which is pretty common for most of us, especially when you have more than a handful of cards. Like the Amazon Prime, which we use for our Amazon spend, even though we've been trying to use this less and less, and use portals like Rakuten or the American Airlines e-shopping portal, since you can point stack while earning Amex points on my Rakuten spend and AA miles and loyalty points towards status on my e-shopping spend. Plus, with just a small amount of effort, you can earn well over 4 points per dollar in those portals, which to me, this ends up being way more valuable than the 5% cashback on your Amazon spend. And there are some cards which won't be mentioned since I really don't spend on them, but they're so clutch for my travel needs, and they get me into airport lounges and elevate my travel experience since I do travel pretty often. And those are some of your mainstay travel cards like the Amex Platinum, the Chase Ritz-Carlton, the Capital One Venture X, and the American Airlines City Executive. Now, I also just recently added the Barclays Aviator Red. I did get the $70K offer, which only requires paying paying the $99 annual fee, and one transaction of any size, insane returns for basically $100. And I posted that in my channel, but it seems like that offer vanished. Apparently it was still available if you called into Barclays, and a few other publications mentioned that as well. But yeah, 70,000 American Airlines miles, just so many possibilities and so much value there. So as for the primary spending categories where I use a credit card, these include the following 8 categories, and some of these are grouped together based on merchant codes or just how I view these categories and try to align specific cards. Now your categories may look a lot different if you rent versus owning a home, or if you pay for gas versus EV charging, or if you don't have kids or your kids have moved out and they support themselves. You probably spend thousands less per month just between your food and power bill spend alone. But that's the thing, our cards should fit our lifestyle, not the other way around. So with my current setup, there's typically a category or two where I'll shift my spend to hit a new card sign-up bonus, which is usually where I put my power and water bill and my home and auto insurance on those new card welcome offers. But it depends on the minimum spend requirement and all of that. But the crazy thing is my setup looks a good bit different today than it did even just a few weeks ago, and that's due to the first card that I'll talk about, which of my top 8 spending categories, this card is now inserted into 5 of those. And there is some commonality when you look at the different spending here, that being mortgage, daycare spend, utilities and home maintenance, property insurance, and this one is a bit of an exception since I'm usually paying for my home and auto insurance with a new card to earn the sign-up bonus, and a portion of the online, retail, and home improvement spend. Now I'll come back to my strategy and thoughts behind all of this in just a second, but first, the Mesa Homeowners Card. And this one is the card that fits into so many of these categories, which is pretty wild for a brand new card, and I guess wild for me to put so much trust into that card. It was launched only in November of 2024, a Visa signature card in partnership with Celtic Bank. So Mesa is the technology in the platform, similar to the Built card and Built rewards, but this seemed to have far less fanfare. And I guess a lot of this is because of the sheer amount of people that rent versus owning a home, and that a lot of the credit card creators are pretty young for the most part, excluding me from that list. I'm like a dinosaur compared to a lot of those kids, even though they have a ton of knowledge and probably a lot more time than I do to research features and benefits and terms and conditions. But for the most part, everyone wants to maximize their dollar. So whether you rent or you own, or I guess maybe if you live at home with your parents, you may not care quite as much about this, but that's not really my demographic. Okay, back to the point here. So the Mesa Homeowners Card now allows those of us paying a mortgage to earn 1 point per dollar on up to $8,333 every month, or 100,000 points annually. And I do have referral links to the Mesa card and just about every card in my wallet in the link tree in the description down below. And with that Mesa referral link, you'll be able to earn 5,000 Mesa points since there is no current sign-up bonus. Okay, so all you need to do to earn the mortgage points each month is to upload your mortgage statement into the Mesa app. And from there, you need to spend at least $1,000 per statement period in order to bank those mortgage points. And I realize this may be steep for some, especially compared to Built, where it's just 5 qualifying transactions of any amount. But this card also comes with a legit list of 3 points per dollar spending categories. And a few that really stood out to me: home insurance, property tax, daycare, telecom, and utilities. Now this list is pretty incredible. It reminds me of some of the strength and the multipliers from a card like the Wells Fargo Attune. This is a 0 annual fee card, but this one also comes with a few credits. And I'll show the list of credits here on the screen. A few notable ones: $30 each quarter at Lowe's, so $120 annually there, $100 to Cozy Earth, $65 to cover some or all of a big box membership, and you can select between Sam's, Costco, or BJ's. And there's a few other credits here as well. And Mesa now has some solid transfer partners, which for anyone that follows my channel, by the way, click those buttons down below if you haven't already. I'm all about travel rewards. I'm not looking for any sort of cashback cards, but I realize you may have a different opinion. So if cashback is your play, the Mesa card is still better for getting some cashback, especially if you have a substantial mortgage payment, but you'd really need to earn north of 5,000 to 6,000 mortgage points a month and spend right around 1,000 in a 3X category each month for the cashback to really make sense. So back to the transfer partners, having Finnair, SAS, and Aeroplan. Those are 3 transfer partners I'm really excited about, and I can get closer to or above that 2 cent per point mark, which really makes this card and earning way more points for things I'm already spending on so incredibly valuable. So my strategy for using the Mesa Homeowners Card, it's plug and play for that 1 cent per point on my mortgage and for my younger boys' daycare tuition every month, along with my power and water bills. Also for a portion of my online retail category, since I'll use this card with Lowe's and Home Depot, probably for places like Home Goods or other furniture stores as well, unless I feel like I want more Amex or City points, where I'd use either the Amex Blue Business Plus or the City Double Cash. As for my second biggest spend each month between groceries and dining, the Amex Gold has held down the spot securely. I use the Uber, dining, and Dunkin' credits each month. The $50 semi-annual Resi credit is so easy for me to use as well, but now having the Mesa card, which combining that with the ways that I maximize the American Airlines ecosystem and earn a ton of loyalty points and miles there, along with the ease of which to earn Amex points from business cards to Rakuten to referrals and retention offers, all that means I'm really covered up with airline miles. So my food spend has shifted mostly to the lesser earning Chase Sapphire Preferred, which I now use this card to earn 3x on dining, and I have it linked with the Publix app, so I earn 3x on my groceries when I use that Publix app in store. And for me, those 3x Chase points. Having the points boost feature now on the Chase portal and the ability to transfer out to Hyatt, that combination makes earning slightly less more valuable in my opinion. So now we're pretty covered up in almost all top spending categories. As for the remainder of my wallet, I either use the Wells Fargo Attune or the Chase Freedom Flex, both with no annual fee, and this is for kids activities and live entertainment. I'm using the Freedom Flex this quarter for the 5X live entertainment category, and this covers things like the fair, Monster Jam, baseball games, and a concert. And the Wells Attune gets me 4X for my wife's salon visits, the kids' haircuts, and our gym memberships. Also things like soccer shots and other sports camps, dog grooming, roller skating, and all of the kids' miscellaneous spending that really adds up, as does the 4 points per dollar earning. Now my cashback balance right now with the Wells Fargo Attune is $336, and I've had the card for a little less than a year. So that's just shy of $9,000 in spend, but that cashback can be converted to travel rewards with the addition of the Wells Autograph or the Autograph Journey. And one of those 2 cards will probably be a 2026 edition. Wells really does have a solid lineup of cards. The Attune is such a sleeper card, and I've done other videos on the Wells lineup and this Attune card specifically, but they really have missed the mark with the grocery category and also with their transfer partners, which are good, but I was hoping for more of them, and Wells really hasn't made any sort of news lately. Okay, moving on. For my home and auto insurance, which is a pretty sizable amount every single year, but far less since I moved to Tennessee versus living in Florida, this is where I typically use a new card for these to hit the minimum spend requirement to get a sign-up bonus. It's a good time to leverage a card like the Amex Business Gold or Business Platinum, or a card with a bigger spend requirement that typically you find on the business cards that also have big sign-up bonuses. And if not, I plan to use either the City Double Cash if I want more American Airlines miles, or the Mesa Homeowners Card to earn a slightly better 3 points per dollar, but that's pending my experience continues to be positive with Mesa. I always have the Capital One Venture X, which really doesn't get much love these days, even though I absolutely love the Capital One lounges. The Capital One Landing in Washington Reagan is one of my favorites, and I just visited the Capital One Lounge at JFK yesterday, which was absolutely gorgeous. And looking at my Capital One miles balance, just over 361,000 miles. I've been hoping for a transfer bonus with Aeroplan since I do plan to book flights from JFK to Frankfurt on Singapore via Aeroplan sometime in the near future. And you can see from my account, I have almost 450,000 Amex points. And that's including the fact that I've used over 400,000 Amex points already this year alone. You can see I also recently got a small retention offer. It was only 15,000 Amex points after spending $3,000. But that was for my Amex Personal Platinum. Basically, was earning 5x on all my platinum spend on that $3,000. So now I'm trying to focus on leveraging all these points and miles, creating incredible memories, and then seeing how my roadmap unfolds. So to recap my card combination as of now, it's really the Mesa Homeowners Card reigning supreme here. Along with that, the Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Chase Freedom Flex, the Wells Attune and the City Double Cash. My airfare is either on a company card or on points, and then I pay pay the taxes and fees with my Amex Platinum. So I feel like this setup pretty much optimizes all my dynamic currency potential. But what do you think I'm missing? Any weaknesses stand out to you? Now, if you want a deeper look at the Mesa Homeowners Card, check out this video here, and I'll see you there. Cheers.